There's a huge difference between helping someone and enabling someone, and most of us don't recognize the line until it's already been crossed. Helping someone means giving them the tools, the perspective, or even the encouragement they need to take responsibility for their own life. It means walking with them, not carrying them. But enabling, that's a whole different story. Enabling means you're doing the heavy lifting they refuse to do. You're solving problems they created while they sit back, comfortable, knowing you'll come to the rescue again and again. And the truth is, what you call kindness can actually be the very thing keeping them stuck. Think about it. Imagine a friend who's always late on their bills. Every month, they're stressed, they call you, they beg for help, and every time, you cover for them. You give them money, you bail them out, you keep them afloat. You tell yourself you're just being a good friend, that you're showing compassion. But here's the reality, nothing changes. Next month, they're back in the same place, and the month after that, and the month after that. Because your help didn't teach them responsibility. It taught them that they can mess up and you'll fix it. That's not help, that's enabling. The dangerous part is, enabling often feels good in the moment. You feel needed. You feel like a savior. You get that little rush of purpose when you swoop in to rescue someone. But slowly, without realizing it, you become their crutch. And the more you carry their weight, the less incentive they have to stand on their own. And here's the thing about people leaning on crutches. They don't put in the effort to heal, because they don't have to. You've made it comfortable for them to stay broken. Let me put it this way, real help empowers people to grow. Enabling allows people to stay small. Real help is teaching someone to swim when they're drowning. Enabling is jumping into the water every time, dragging them to shore, and never teaching them how to float. So guess what happens? The next time they fall in, you're back in the water again, exhausted, risking your own life just to save someone who refuses to learn. And if you're not careful, you'll start to mistake their gratitude for progress. They'll thank you. They'll say, "I don't know what I'd do without you." They'll cry, they'll hug you, they'll tell you how much you mean to them. And for a moment, it feels worth it. But notice the pattern. No matter how grateful they seem, nothing changes. Their life looks the same, their problems repeat. And deep down, you start to feel drained, resentful, even angry, because you've poured out everything you had, and they've given nothing in return. That's when you need to pause and ask yourself, am I really helping this person? Or am I enabling them to stay the same? Am I giving them tools, or am I giving them excuses? Because the truth is, people rarely change when life is comfortable. They change when it hurts. They change when they're forced to face the consequences of their actions. And every time you step in to rescue someone from those consequences, you rob them of the very pain that would have pushed them to grow. It might feel cruel to step back, but sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people fall. Let them face the discomfort. Let them sit with the weight of their choices. Because that discomfort is the teacher. That pain is the motivator. And until they feel it, they'll keep depending on you to save them. I want you to picture your energy like a bank account. Every time you enable someone, you're writing checks you can't afford. You're draining your own account to cover their debt. And if you keep doing it, one day you're bankrupt. Emotionally, mentally, maybe even financially. And here's the sad part, when you finally have nothing left to give, those same people you've been carrying, they'll find someone else to lean on. That's when it hits you. They never truly wanted to change. They just wanted someone to make their life easier. And for a while, that person was you. So here's the shift you need to make. Before you help someone, ask yourself, will this action empower them, or will it enable them? Am I giving them a fish, or am I teaching them how to fish? Am I solving their problem for them, or am I guiding them toward solving it themselves? If the answer is that you're carrying their weight while they stand still, then you're not helping, you're enabling. The difference might seem small, but the impact on your life is massive. Helping builds stronger people. Enabling builds dependency. Helping creates growth. Enabling creates cycles. And here's the hard truth. The longer you enable someone, the harder it becomes for them to stand without you. It's like tying a bird to the ground every time it tries to fly. Eventually, it forgets how to use its wings. So if you truly care about the people in your life, stop rescuing them from every fall. Stop protecting them from every consequence. Step back, set boundaries, and let them learn. Because real love, real kindness, real help doesn't mean carrying someone forever. It means believing they're capable of walking on their own and refusing to rob them of the opportunity to prove it. You know exactly who they are. The people who walk into a room and you feel lighter when they leave. The ones who call your phone and before you even pick it up, you sigh because you already know what's coming. They don't bring energy, they take it. They don't add peace, they subtract it. They don't lift you, they weigh you down. These people are energy drainers, and if you don't recognize them, they will rob you of the fuel you need for your own life. What makes an energy drainer so dangerous isn't that they're loud, aggressive, or obviously toxic. Sometimes it's the opposite. They come across as needy, soft-spoken, maybe even harmless. They don't scream at you, they lean on you. And it feels like helping them is the right thing to do. But over time, you realize something. No matter how much energy you give them, it's never enough. It's like pouring water into a bucket with holes in the bottom. You keep pouring, they keep leaking, and nothing ever changes. Here's the truth, your energy is limited. Every day you wake up with a certain amount of focus, attention, compassion, and patience. It's like your battery life. Some people recharge you, they make you laugh, they push you to be better, they give as much as they take. But energy drainers, they're like apps running in the background of your life, sucking the battery dry without you even realizing it. By the time you notice, you're running on 5%, exhausted, irritated, and with nothing left for yourself. What's tricky is that energy drainers don't always mean to hurt you. Some of them are just stuck in cycles of complaining, negativity, or self-pity. You ask them how they're doing, and they unload a 20-minute speech about every bad thing that's ever happened to them. You give them advice, they nod, they thank you, and the next week they're back with the same story. It's never about solutions, it's always about staying in the problem. And if you're not careful, you'll confuse being their constant listener with being their friend. Others drain you by always needing something, your time, your money, your attention. And the moment you set a boundary, the moment you say, I can't right now, suddenly you're the bad guy. Suddenly you're selfish, you're cruel, you've changed. And the guilt kicks in because energy drainers are masters at twisting the story so that you feel responsible for their unhappiness. But here's what you need to understand. You are not responsible for carrying people who refuse to walk on their own. You ever notice how some people leave you feeling exhausted even after just a short conversation? That's not by accident. That's because emotional energy is just as real as physical energy. You can go to the gym and tire out your muscles, or you can spend an hour with the wrong person and tire out your soul. And while sore muscles recover with rest, drained energy doesn't bounce back so easily. It lingers. You carry it home, you carry it into your work, you carry it into your other relationships. Before you know it, one energy drainer has stolen joy from every area of your life. The saddest part is that energy drainers often disguise themselves as people who care. They'll say they need you because you're the only one who understands. They'll flatter you by saying, you always know what to do. But underneath that flattery is a dependency. They don't actually want to change, they just want someone to dump their burdens on. And every time you catch them, you think you're helping. But really, you're just letting them hand over their backpack of problems for you to carry while they walk a little lighter. Here's the hard question you have to ask yourself. How much of your life are you sacrificing for people who would never do the same for you? Because energy drainers don't just take your time, they take your focus away from the people who actually value you. While you're busy carrying someone who never grows, you could be pouring into people who lift you up, who inspire you, who give back. But you can't because your energy has already been spent on the wrong person. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's survival. It means learning to recognize when you leave conversations feeling worse, not better. It means noticing when your yes is costing you your peace. It means understanding that the people you allow closest to you will shape how you think, how you feel, and how much you grow. If you surround yourself with energy drainers, you'll always feel stuck, tired, and behind. But when you start cutting those ties, you create space for people who actually add something to your life. Think of it this way, your energy is your most valuable currency. Spend it wisely. Don't waste it on people who see you as an endless source of fuel. Don't let guilt trick you into sacrificing your joy. The people who truly love you, the ones worth keeping, they don't drain your energy, they multiply it, they don't leave you empty, they leave you full. So the next time you notice someone constantly pulling you down, ask yourself, am I investing my energy or am I bleeding it out? Because if it's the latter, it's time to step back, protect your peace, protect your energy, because once you do, you'll be amazed at how much lighter, freer, and stronger your life feels. There's a trap that will steal more of your time, your energy, and your peace than almost anything else. And it's the trap of people who live in a victim mentality. You know the type. No matter what happens, it's never their fault. The world is always against them. Life is always unfair to them. Every setback is someone else's responsibility, and every solution is someone else's job. And here's the hard truth. If you let yourself get caught in their story, you'll spend your whole life trying to fix problems that they never wanted fixed in the first place. People with a victim mentality don't want growth, they want sympathy. They don't want solutions, they want attention. You can give them advice step by step, clear as day, and they'll nod their head, maybe even thank you, but the next time you see them, they'll be back at the same spot with the same story, acting like nothing was ever said. Why? Because solving the problem means taking responsibility, and responsibility means admitting, maybe some of this is on me, and that's the one thing they will never do. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who's constantly complaining about their job. They hate the boss, they hate the hours, they hate the pay. And every time you meet them, it's the same broken record. You offer ideas, you tell them to update their arrays some may, apply somewhere else, develop a new skill, maybe even start something of their own. But what happens? Suddenly, they have 100 reasons why your idea won't work. That's too hard. I don't have the time. The system's rigged. People like me never get ahead. They don't want solutions. They want you to sit there, nod along, and agree that life has been unfair. And the moment you stop agreeing, the moment you push them toward responsibility, they start pulling away. Because you've exposed the truth they're trying to hide, they're comfortable being stuck. The danger of constantly helping people like this is that you begin to confuse their problems with your responsibility. You start carrying the weight of their complaints, thinking maybe you just haven't given the right advice yet, maybe you just haven't explained it clearly enough. But no matter how much wisdom you give, no matter how much time you invest, nothing changes. And the reason nothing changes is simple: they don't want change. They want validation. They want to feel heard, but they don't want to take action. Here's what you need to understand: staying in victim mode is comfortable. It's predictable. If life is always against you, then you never have to risk trying. If it's always someone else's fault, then you never have to face your own mistakes. That comfort zone may be miserable, but it's safe. Growth requires discomfort. Growth requires stepping into the unknown, facing rejection, and admitting that maybe you've been part of the problem. And for someone stuck in victim mentality, that's terrifying. Now, here's where it gets dangerous for you. If you're someone with a big heart, if you're someone who wants to see people do better, the victim mentality will drain you like nothing else, because it disguises itself as helplessness. You'll feel guilty walking away. You'll think, if I don't help them, who will? But the truth is, no amount of help can fix someone who doesn't want to pick up the tools you hand them. You can hand someone a ladder out of a hole, but if they'd rather complain about how deep the hole is, they'll stay right there at the bottom. And what happens to you while they're staying stuck? You lose your peace. You waste your energy. You spend nights thinking about their problems while they're sleeping soundly, knowing tomorrow they can start the same cycle again. That's the victim mentality trap. It convinces you that you're being compassionate when really you're just being captured. So what do? You recognize the difference between people who are struggling but want to grow and people who are committed to staying the victim. The first group, they'll listen, they'll try, they'll stumble, but they'll get back up. Those people deserve your help. The second group, the permanent victims, they'll argue, they'll resist, they'll make excuses, and they'll never change, because change means giving up their favorite story. The world is against me. The truth is, life will always hand us challenges. Bad things will happen. But the difference between a victim and a victor isn't what happens to them, it's how they respond. A victor says, "This is hard, but I'll find a way." A victim says, "This is hard, so I'll stay here and complain until someone else saves me." And here's the twist: if you keep saving them, they never become the victor. They never discover their strength. You think you're helping, but you're actually keeping them weak. So the next time you find yourself face to face with someone who lives in victim mode, take a step back. Protect your energy. You don't have to be cruel. You don't have to argue. But you do have to refuse to get caught in their cycle. Because your job isn't to live their story. It's to live your own. And the more time you spend trapped in their complaints, the less time you have to write the chapter of your own growth. If you want peace, if you want progress, if you want a life full of energy and purpose, stop feeding the victim mentality. Some people don't need saving, they need to face themselves. And until they do, nothing will ever change. One of the biggest lies you've probably been told is that setting boundaries makes you selfish. That saying no to someone means you don't care about them. That protecting your time, your energy, and your peace somehow makes you cold or unkind. But the truth is the exact opposite. Boundaries are not cruelty, they are protection. Protection for your heart, your mind, your relationships, and your future. And without them, you're not practicing kindness, you're practicing self-destruction. Here's what most people don't realize. Every yes you give comes with a cost. When you say yes to someone else, you're saying no to something else. Sometimes that something else is your own rest, your own goals, or your own family. But we live in a culture that glorifies being available all the time. We're praised for saying yes, for bending over backwards, for sacrificing ourselves to keep other people comfortable. And little by little, we learn to ignore the weight of it. Until one day we wake up exhausted, resentful, and drained, because we've been carrying everyone else's expectations and ignoring our own needs. Boundaries are the guardrails that keep you from falling off that cliff. They're not walls meant to push people away, they're fences meant to protect what's valuable inside. Think about your house. You probably have a lock on your door. Does that make you selfish? No, it makes you wise. You lock your door not because you hate the outside world, but because you value what's inside your home. Your energy, your time, your peace, they're just as valuable, and they deserve the same protection. The problem is, the moment you start setting boundaries, people who have been benefiting from your lack of boundaries will get upset. They'll call you selfish, cold, even heartless. And it's not because you're doing something wrong, it's because you've stopped making their comfort your responsibility. You've disrupted the system they've gotten used to, where you always say yes, you always make time, you always sacrifice. Of course they'll resist, because boundaries force them to face the truth your life is not theirs to control. Let me give you an example. Maybe there's a friend who always calls at midnight to unload their problems on you. You've got work in the morning, you're exhausted, but every time you pick up because you don't want to seem rude. And at first it feels manageable, but over time your sleep suffers, your mood suffers, your patience wears thin. And eventually, you start resenting that person, not because they call, but because you never set a boundary. Imagine instead saying, I care about you, but I can't take calls this late. Let's talk tomorrow. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. That's protecting both your health and the relationship itself. Because boundaries don't destroy relationships, they define them. Here's another thing people forget. Boundaries are not just about saying no to others. They're also about saying yes to yourself. Every time you set a boundary, you're telling yourself, my time matters, my energy matters, my peace matters. And when you live with that kind of self-respect, you show others how to treat you. Because here's the truth, people will treat you how you allow them to. If you never set boundaries, they'll keep taking. But the moment you draw the line, you teach them, this is where respect begins. Some of you are scared to set boundaries because you're afraid of losing people. But let me tell you this, the people who truly love you will respect your boundaries. They might not like them at first, but they'll adjust because they value you. The people who get angry, the ones who call you selfish, that's your sign. They weren't there for you, they were there for what they could get from you. And losing people like that isn't loss, it's freedom. I know this is hard, especially if you've been the person who always gives, always sacrifices, always bends. But I promise you this, when you start protecting your energy, you'll discover a new strength inside yourself. You'll feel lighter, clearer, more in control. And you'll realize something powerful. Boundaries don't just protect you, they protect your ability to show up with love and kindness in the places that matter most. Because when you're drained, exhausted, and resentful, your kindness turns sore. But when you're rested and protected, your kindness is real, it's genuine, it's powerful. So don't ever let anyone make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. Saying no does not make you heartless. Guarding your peace does not make you selfish. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about keeping your life healthy, balanced, and strong. And the truth is, the people who matter most will not be pushed away by your boundaries. They'll be drawn closer because they'll know your yes actually means something. At the end of the day, boundaries are love in action. Love for yourself, love for your future, and even love for others. Because when you stop saying yes to everything, you finally have the space to give your best yes to the things and the people that truly matter. One of the hardest lessons to learn in life is that not everyone deserves a second chance, and almost no one deserves endless chances. We like to believe that giving people another opportunity is a sign of compassion, of strength, of loyalty. And yes, sometimes it is. But there's a dangerous illusion we fall into. The belief that if we just keep forgiving, if we just keep rescuing, if we just keep giving one more chance, eventually they'll change. The reality, many people don't change because you gave them another chance. They don't change because you removed the consequences. Think about it. Every time you let someone back into your life after they've shown you the same pattern, what message are you sending? You're telling them, it's okay. Do it again, I'll still be here. And whether you mean to or not, you're training them. You're teaching them that your forgiveness is endless, that your patience has no boundaries, and that they can repeat the same mistakes without ever facing the cost. You think you're showing love, but sometimes what you're really showing is that you don't value yourself enough to walk away. Here's the truth, people don't change when you cushion their fall. They change when the ground hurts. They change when they finally feel the weight of their actions, when the comfort of your forgiveness is no longer there to protect them. Pain is often the only teacher strong enough to spark transformation. But when you keep giving someone endless second chances, you rob them of that teacher. You take away the very discomfort that could have pushed them to grow. And it's not just about the other person. It's about you too, because every time you give out another chance to someone who hasn't earned it, you lose a little piece of yourself. You lose trust in your own boundaries. You lose confidence in your own standards. You start to believe that love equals tolerance, even when tolerance is destroying you. And before you know it, your identity is wrapped up in trying to fix someone who has no intention of fixing themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, forgiveness is powerful. People do make mistakes. Growth is possible. But there's a difference between forgiveness and foolishness. Forgiveness means I release the bitterness, I let go of the grudge, I free myself from carrying resentment. Foolishness is letting someone walk back into my life with the same behavior that broke me the first time. Forgiveness is internal. Second chances are external, and the two are not the same. Imagine you loan money to a friend and they promise to pay you back. They don't. You forgive them because holding a grudge poisons you, not them. Then they come back asking for more. If you give it again and they repeat the same pattern, whose fault is it now? At some point, giving another chance stops being generosity and starts being self-sabotage. And that's the illusion, thinking that your endless chances will inspire gratitude when in reality they often inspire entitlement. And entitlement is dangerous because once someone feels entitled to your forgiveness, they stop respecting your boundaries altogether. They stop valuing your time, your trust, your love. They take it for granted because they know no matter what happens, you'll keep letting them back in. That's not a relationship. That's a cycle of abuse disguised as loyalty. Here's the shift you need to make. Instead of asking, do they deserve another chance? Ask, what have they done with the last chance I gave them? Look at their actions, not their words. Because words are easy. Promises are cheap, but real change leaves evidence. Real change shows up in consistency, in accountability, in humility. If all you ever see is repeated apologies without different behavior, you're not looking at change, you're looking at manipulation. And here's the hard part, walking away will hurt. Saying no to another chance will feel cruel at first. But I promise you, it's not cruelty, it's clarity. It's the moment you say, I refuse to participate in my own pain any longer. It's the moment you reclaim your dignity, your self-respect, and your peace. And when you finally stop giving endless chances, two powerful things happen. First, you protect yourself from further damage. And second, you force the other person to face the reality of their choices. Maybe they'll finally wake up, maybe they won't. But either way, you'll be free. At the end of the day, love is not proven by how much you tolerate. Love is proven by how much you're willing to respect yourself and require respect from others. You are not a doormat. You are not a safety net. You are not required to keep opening the same door to people who keep slamming it in your face. Endless second chances don't create better people. They create users, manipulators, and cycles that never break. So if you want to grow, if you want peace, if you want relationships that are real and healthy, stop believing in the illusion of endless second chances. Believe instead in boundaries. Believe in accountability. Believe in change that is proven, not promised. Because sometimes the most powerful chance you can give someone is the chance to face life without you. One of the hardest things you'll ever have to accept in life is that your growth isn't only about what you start doing, it's about what you stop doing. And one of the most powerful choices you can make is deciding who you will no longer help. Not because you've become cold, not because you've stopped caring, but because you finally realize that helping the wrong people keeps you stuck in the wrong place. Think about it. Every time you invest your time, your energy, and your emotions into someone who refuses to change, that's time, energy, and emotion you could have invested into your own future. Every time you rush to save someone who never learns, you're stealing from yourself the chance to focus on your own growth, your own healing, your own purpose. And the truth is, as long as you keep carrying people who are committed to standing still, you'll never be able to move forward. It feels noble to always be the rescuer. It feels good to always be the dependable one. But here's the hidden cost. When you make everyone else's progress your priority, your progress suffers. When you're constantly fixing, saving, and sacrificing, you're too drained to build the life you deserve. And eventually, you wake up realizing that while you were busy pushing everyone else forward, your own dreams, your own goals, your own growth stayed stuck in neutral. Sometimes the greatest act of love for yourself is to admit, I can't keep helping you anymore. And sometimes the greatest act of love for them is to step back and let them figure it out without you. Because here's the truth. People rarely change when someone else keeps carrying the weight for them. They change when the weight becomes too heavy to ignore. If you keep lightening their load, they'll never learn to strengthen their back. But the moment you stop, the moment you set them down and walk away, one of two things will happen. Either they'll finally rise to the challenge and take responsibility for themselves, or they'll stay where they are. Either way, you'll be free to focus on the people who actually want to grow with you. And that's the key. Growth doesn't happen in isolation, it happens in community. The people you surround yourself with will either pull you forward or hold you back. If your circle is filled with people who drain you, who depend on you, who refuse to rise higher, then no matter how much you want to grow, you'll always be held down by their weight. But when you let go of those people, when you free yourself from carrying the ones who refuse to move, You suddenly have room in your life for people who lift you, challenge you, and inspire you. I want you to picture this: you're climbing a mountain. You've got your gear, your strength, your determination. But tied to your waist are ropes connected to people who refuse to climb. They're sitting at the bottom, refusing to move, complaining about how steep it is, how unfair it is, how impossible it is. And as long as you keep pulling them, you'll never make it to the top. The moment you untie those ropes, yes, it hurts. Yes, it feels like betrayal. But suddenly, you're lighter. Suddenly, you can climb. And the higher you climb, the more you'll realize that growth requires sacrifice. Sometimes the sacrifice of letting people go. This isn't about abandoning everyone who struggles. Struggling is part of life. We all stumble, we all fall, and sometimes we all need help. The difference is in the response. There are people who fall, but they get back up, they try again, they want better. Those people, pour into them. They'll pour back. They'll grow with you. But then there are people who fall, and instead of getting up, they sit down and wait for you to carry them. And if you keep carrying them, your own legs will give out. That's the line you have to draw. Your growth depends on recognizing the difference between people who want help and people who want to be enabled. And once you see it, you have to make the choice. Because your future, your peace, and your purpose are too important to waste on people who refuse to move. It may feel selfish at first, but it's not. It's stewardship. It's protecting your life so you can live it fully. And the irony is, when you stop helping the wrong people, you discover how much more you can do for the right ones. At the end of the day, your growth depends on your circle. It depends on the people you choose to let close, the people you choose to invest in, and the people you choose to release. Stop helping those who refuse to grow and watch how fast your own life begins to rise. Because sometimes the only thing standing between you and your next level isn't what you need to do, it's who you need to stop saving. At the end of the day, helping people is one of the most beautiful things we can do as human beings. But wisdom is knowing who to help and when to step back. Some people don't want solutions, they want excuses. Some don't want growth, they want comfort. And if you keep pouring into them, you'll run dry before you ever get to build the life you were meant to live. You've learned the difference between helping and enabling. You've seen how energy drainers will pull you into their chaos. You've recognized the trap of the victim mentality and why endless second chances don't create change. You've realized that boundaries aren't selfish, they're necessary. And most importantly, you now know this: your growth, your peace, your future depends on who you stop helping. So the challenge is simple but not easy. Stop saving the people who refuse to save themselves. Let them carry their own weight. Let them face their own storms. Because the moment you release them, you set yourself free. Free to climb higher, free to build stronger, free to give your energy to the right people who will actually grow with you. Do not help these people, even if they ask you. Protect your peace, protect your purpose, protect your future. Because sometimes the greatest act of love for them and for you is learning to walk away.